Hi guys. Oh my god. Guess it's we doing another hard truths episode, okay? And I don't know when I'm gonna post this, but my ancestors want me to make sure that I do this video since I'm still, I guess, open to speak. You know, just raw and uncut and shit. So I might as well give y'all a story time about how I ended up in a spiritual war with my Haitian voodoo and hoodoo mentors, honey. Oh, God. And this war, am I still in it? I don't think I am. Hopefully not. Probably, yeah, probably so, but shit just quiet. But I met this group in, I would say maybe around like late I would say I found them around like late 2019, and I took my first class with them around like March of 2020. So around like when the pandemic first started. um, the group, of course, is Black Spectrum Network. They used to be really big on YouTube, but I don't know if they like are still popular today. But they had like this kind of like hub for African religion. So it was led by Haitian Voodoo Hogan, which was Dr. Quintarius Shakir, or known as Huganzo. And then you had his, I guess, partners, which was Priestess Peach Blossom, who was over like the hoodoo uh, pathway. And then, of course, you had uh, Ianifa Oshun Funke, who did the Ifa pathway. So, it was a way for people who, depending on what path they wanted to go, they were able to go through their group, right? So, I first, was watch them because of like their readings, tarot readings. And I actually took a class with learning how to read with like playing cards. And so I loosely, of course, was just following their work in terms of just like, yeah, watching their videos. They were very informative, very knowledgeable. I would definitely give them that they, definitely knew what the fuck they were doing. Especially Quintari Shakir, which of course we'll further highlight later in the story. So around like October 2020, we had started whatchamacallit. They had advertised a white candle um workshop, which is like a free work mentorship that they were going to do, where pretty much for 30 days they would teach us how to work a white candle. And so through this, of course, I, joined their WhatsApp group, and they pretty much got us started, got us, they had a full on syllabus, different materials that we'll need for 30 days. And of course, I'm thinking that this is just, something that they were offering just to help people. But of course, as I realized down the line, it was, a way to filter in, more students and clients. And so eventually, I decided to join the Hoodoo mentorship. And I just have to kind of skim through because a lot had happened during that time. Like they had a lot of people who filtered through. It was like the pandemic had just started. People, it was like at its peak for people to want to learn more about African traditional religions. And so they started, splitting us up into different groups, and they needed moderators. I ended up becoming one of the moderators. And then during the time, I was really becoming like really good at tarot readings. And I was helping other people with doing it. And so it was just a lot. It was a lot going on, but I was learning a lot too. And I think that's what really kept me in there was the fact that I was actively learning, and I felt like I was seeing the gains that I wanted to see. So, I was definitely blinded by that. Um, but of course, as time went on, and especially once I got over to like the hoodoo mentorship, I started realizing that, like, especially with my hoodoo mentor, that she wasn't as like hands on as I thought that she would be. And then I also felt like I wasn't getting my money's worth when it came to her. Like, if I'm paying you $1,200 for a mentorship, whether $600, $1,200 for mentorship, I want to feel like I'm getting $600 or $1,200 worth of a mentorship. So if we're supposed to have weekly classes, like live classes, we need to be having weekly live classes. We shouldn't be getting just re-recordings because you just didn't feel like teaching us. Why are you putting together prosperity rituals and you're not running your own rituals? And not only are you not running your own rituals, you expect me, because essentially she wanted to take advantage of the fact that I was in her hoodoo mentorship because she wanted her own apprentice and assistant. And so, I found myself doing more than what I should have been doing, and I was not seeing the benefit from that while partnering with her. And I kind of knew that something was like a bit wrong. Was one, I didn't like the fact that, like, they were attracted to me becoming a doula, and the fact that they wanted to take advantage of that and wanted to actually have me start offering doula services so they can get a cut in my money. First of all, that's, you've lost your fucking mind. Two, you pretty much made me a reader and for their organization, the Voodoo Institute, and pretty much made me start my own Facebook page and kind of forced me into like starting a platform that I never was planning on starting. Um and I just felt like, that was when I guess I started experiencing what it was like for other people to kind of tell me what the fuck I was supposed to do with my spiritual path instead of allowing me to find that out. And that was because, they saw the gifts that they felt like they could they could capitalize off of, especially like with, the work that I was able to do with like their Facebook page, and the fact that when I first got there, especially with their Facebook, I think it was like African spirituality, black spirituality for like black women, or African spirituality for black, something like that, and a hoodoo for black women. And they started at like 8,900 like people, and by like at its peak, and this is when I was like running the page, god damn it, I was able to get to like 20,000 followers until them motherfuckers got it taken down because they don't know how to act on the fucking internet. Like, why are you rage baiting your own followers? Like, that was the type of shit that they was doing, and that was because they were egotistical type of shit. And you know, and then also just the multiple fallouts that was happening in the organization too, like you know, with especially with Huganzo, there was a lot of shit that was happening that was really like telltale signs that something is completely wrong with this place. Like your own godfather, you are accusing him of basically of sexual harassment, or sexually harassing your godchildren, and we getting like the Haitian police involved, and then only to find out that he did that because he was pissed off that his godfather would initiate him higher, because apparently he's the product of, and only allegedly, but this is what I was told, that he was a product of two family members conceiving a child. I'm just saying allegedly, and I ain't gonna necessarily, just saying allegedly. I can't confirm or deny, just alleged. Uh, and then it ended up then like all these different secrets about stuff that he was talking about in terms of his own godchildren. He was talking shit about them behind their back, and then that ended up causing like I don't know what the word is when like people within an organization decides to kind of do a takeover. Then that ended up becoming a thing, and so like the whole group ended up splitting up, which again should have been a telltale sign that something was fucking wrong. Right now, me, because I'm just so starry eyed for the motherfucker, I'm sitting here trying to figure, like uh that they're turning their backs on him on the way of somebody that was supposedly a sexual predator, right? Like, who do I believe, him or the person that I have the relationship with, or the people who I don't have a relationship with? um and it really wasn't until I expressed my interest in practicing Haitian voodoo and then also wanting to go over to his mentorship that it really kind of like came to a standstill about just like where I was sitting, with them. So essentially, I decided to get a mentorship consultation with him because at that point I was shifting in terms of my interest and where I wanted to be in terms of the relationship with my ancestors. And like after doing a few rituals with Huganzo, like it was just something in me that just really wanted to learn more about the practice. And so within the consultation, it pretty much came out that like I was currently in a situation where I was being like manipulated and played with. I could definitely feel like that. That was probably the job at the hospital too, no shade. But it was definitely talking about Priestess Peach Blossom. And and how like I was currently just like experiencing this shift of like not wanting to, continue to be in the place that I was. Um and of course I was also considering money too. Like if I'm going to be putting my money into something, I want to feel like I'm getting something back. And I don't want to give this woman money and I don't feel like I'm getting things out of that. And so long story short, yeah, like it ended up coming out like, yeah, this bitch is being taken advantage of over there. Uh, and she will be better off in terms of her magic and all this other shit with you. And so he decided that he was going to open up his, mentorship to me. Um, and then I'm guessing, and this is only, of course, through my theories and what I found to just through just messages from my ancestors and everything else. He must have had a conversation with that bitch, and I don't know if he. I should say this. He tried to claim like he didn't pick a side, but that nigga picked a side by not stepping in when it became very clear that she wanted to X me out. Me and my ancestors became a problem. Me and my spirits was exposing too much. So I just like you. You're trying to. I say that I wanted to be a student, that I wanted to continue to moderate, I wanted to continue to help, but I didn't want the same type of responsibility that was being forced on me. And they use that as a way to completely remove me as a moderator for the programs, completely remove me as, someone that was, taking care of the Facebook page. You want to remove me from all these places. You want to remove me from like just all the removal. And he's up here sending me DMs telling me, oh, oh, Peach Blossom just wants to do this. Oh, Peach Blossom. Oh, wait, well, why is Peach Blossom making all these decisions? All because I'm not willing to do all because I'm not willing to do her work. Okay, sure. All right, sure. So eventually, you know, I decided to leave. I was in the midst of doing a Haitian voodoo ritual with Zuli Dantor, and in the midst of that ritual, um, she basically told me that by the end of this ritual, I need you gone. I need you out of here. If you want to see any progress in your, in your journey, you need to leave here. And so by the third day, I said that I was no longer interested in working with him. And of course, he tried to give me the whole how much he believes I was a powerful priestess, and how, we could done great things together, but nigga, you should have thought about that before you allow her to play with me. Where was that energy? Where was that energy at, sir? So of course, it'll be about a year before I go, find another group or decide to stay with a particular group. During this time, after I left, I decided to just kind of do my own thing. Um, I was working what I knew what to work. And I learned a lot during that time that I was alone. Even certain situations where I was helping people, and it legit reminded me and almost kind of foreshadowed what could have happened if I would have stayed there. But nonetheless, I was alone, essentially, trying to just, understand where I was at the time and where I needed to go. I became a doula, and I ain't gonna hold you. Um, I started seeing signs that they may have been kind of like tampering with certain things that I was doing. Like, because they were connected to the Facebook page that I did, it was hard to like filter people out. Especially once I realized that they were like deleting member requests, like, and just different things like that to like keep my page from growing. And I also felt like, they were doing work against my doula business. Some, especially when it came to my ability to secure contracts. And because at the time I was doing this work and I couldn't understand why I wasn't able to get the gains that I was looking for. And I was actively, like, I set up a website, joined doula collaboratives. I even had, was trying for my, I ended up successfully getting my driver's license, got a car. Like, I was like sowing the seeds to get this going. And for whatever fucking reason, it just was not working, to the point where I had to like shut things down and move back home to Michigan. I had to move. I had to change states because of that. Um, I mean, I was applying for jobs. I was trying to, like, cause I had, like, when I mean, like, I was following what was told to me to quit my job and to go into this shit full time, and that I need to be delusionally confident in doing this because that's what, and like, blocked. Now, of course, this is before it was kind of dawning on me that these motherfuckers was really doing that. So, you know, at first, or, or I should say this. Let me take that back. I kind of knew that the motherfuckers probably did some shit like that. And then that's why before I left DC, cause like now my ADHD, sometimes it's blocked. No, it's coming back, bitch. I did know your ass was doing that. And that's why before, when I left for that DC, I lit them bows up. I lit them bows up. So you niggas hit me first, I hit you back that first time. So if you felt a little shake around May of 2022, bitch, that was me. I don't give a fuck. Fuck you. Fuck you. Y'all fucked with the one thing that I worked hard for. I sold my seeds for that business. And you niggas fucked with me. So fuck y'all. Okay, this we gotta get dirty. We gotta get dirty with it. I don't give a fuck. So I ended up going home, moving home, and I ended up around this, and then of course, like around this time, I decided to link back up with my then Iya, who was my then godmother. Which her name was Ifa Majanshola at the time, and she just so happened to actually be the godchild of Priestess Oshun Funke on the Ifa pathway. You know, I had a few casual interactions with her, which, you know, was pretty pleasant, but it was nothing really serious. But I noticed, like, a few months after I left the mentorship, she left, which kind of gave to kind of like a real shocker to me, because, like, I thought that she, you know, from my understanding, was like her first goddaughter. Like, they were like this, so, like, what the fuck happened there? So she had started her own mentorship program, and, you know, I had joined that and, you know, stayed with her for a couple months, and then I decided to kind of like back away and just do my own thing, because at that point I ain't trust a lot of motherfuckers. And so, you know, and I saw the gains, you know, again, when I was by myself and I was rocking, it was just me and my spirits. That's when I started seeing shit really fucking move. It wasn't until I started linking back with people in that fucking community was when it was just like, okay, yeah, no. So here's house number 2, right? And so at this point, I you know, link back up with her. Now I am very, at this point, I'm very clueless with what necessarily happened with her and, you know, Priestess, you know, Oshun Funke. We did have like a like kind of like a conversation around just like, I'm trying to see, was this before or after the ocean water divination, but we did ended up having somewhat of a conversation where she pretty much told me like why she decided to leave, and, you know, kind of on the same shit, like, you know, she was dealing with the fact that her godmother was in love with her and apparently wanted to like make her wife and shit, whatever. And so it was like, bitch, she was running away from spiritual incest. It's kind of crazy. But back to me. uh, but, you know, we ended up getting this, you know, do this ocean water divination. In the divination, which I find out is not a real thing, but in this reading, she tells me that Oshun wanted me to get Ilekes. So then they were supposed to be an Ileke ceremony. Now this is when I find out that Ilekes are a Lukumi tradition. So that's why I said, if you find anybody, any Shay doing Ileke ceremonies, just let you know them motherfuckers is mixing. And 9 times out of 10, you gonna find that shit in Atlanta, cause them the king, them that's mixing central in this motherfucker. Okay, anything for a dime. But anyway, I ended up signing up for that, but I ended up not having the money in time. And but she ended up canceling anyway. And then, like, maybe a few weeks later, she hit me up saying that, oh, well, she was going to do a hand of Ifa ceremony. And so I was like, okay, well, sure, why not? Yeah, I was like, okay, you know, what harm would that bring? It brought a lot. It brought a lot of harm, especially if it's not done correctly. Let me tell you something. The worst thing you could ever have yourself in is to be in the middle of a spiritual war and you ain't got your shit done correctly. Because that's what happened to me. You're better off without it than to have something that's fucked up. You're better off without it. It didn't have it and fucked up. And I had to learn that the hard way. Okay, so either the hard way, going through an Ifa ceremony, and there's no blood. Where's the elbow? Where's the offering? Where's the feeding? See, that's what happens when you learn, and then you realize, oh shit, yeah. So, of course, after the ceremony, I went in with four other women, and then by the time I met back up with my godmother again, it was just me. And apparently, this bitch fell out with all four ladies. Uh, After the ceremony, which was, of course, another red flag, which she, of course, tried to act as if it wasn't a red flag. But again, I don't know how to take this because I didn't know those girls like that. But I'm like, what happened to my god sisters? Okay, so for a good year, I'm up here being like having to suppress all of these thoughts around what the fuck happened to my god sisters, and then I'm getting all this other bullshit around like, them just up and leaving and all this stuff, and then her falling out. She got into a fight with one of them. Then come to find out that the reason why they left because they found out this bitch was doing work on them so that she can get more money out of them. But back to the story. So so around this time, I had really been focusing on doing love work, right? Um, I was trying to like improve my love life. I wanted to improve my dating options. I wanted to get out there, do the things, and for whatever fucking reason, it was not working. I'm talking about, honey. I remember we had an eclipse that happened around that time. I threw myself in front of that eclipse. I said, "Some gotta change. What am I doing wrong?" Because every time I would do it, it's almost like I was just being revealed about like more and more motherfuckers that didn't like me, that hated me, that did all this stuff. And then whenever I got readings, it was always about people throwing this evil eye at me, and then how there was this water sign that like apparently was like pissed off or angry that because we were supposed to have done work together but didn't happen and did this. Now mind you, all my ex-boyfriends and my spiritual mentor, at least the Haitian voodoo, are all water signs codes. So, bitch, I'd be like, honey, I'm gonna have to pull from a hat to see who the fuck this is. And then also what sucks is that my other mentor is my sign. Then my godmother, she's my invert. Just like then her godmother is my sign. So it's just like it was a lot of just like I don't even know where to even start. Who it is. So it basically is all of y'all. And now like everybody was angry, and I just something in my spirit just made me feel like that my Ia just didn't know what to do, which is why moving forward, when I am not dealing with none of you young motherfuckers ever again. I barely want to deal with you old ones, but you new ones, bitch, you gonna have to have at least 10 years fucking with me. The rest of y'all can kiss my ass. And when I mean more than 10 years, that does not include your childhood. Because I know some of y'all gonna come with that too. I don't know. I'm not gonna consider when you were crowned when you were 2. Because y'all ain't slick. I know y'all. Y'all ain't slick with that. And so something in my spirit was like, bruh, I'm about to tap into the Haitian voodoo. I'm about to do it. So I end up tapping into what is her, Lord, should I say, okay, fuck it. She go by the 3 Hoodoo Sisters on YouTube. I tapped into her for a reading. I think she was in Haiti at the time for initiation, so I decided to take advantage of that. And so at the time, I also was questioning the relationship that I had with like my best friends and stuff, and I kind of wanted to go to her just about like what was the best, basically was my feelings about them correct, and what was the way to move forward. So I pretty much asked about my friends. For both of one, she said that one of them pretty much just didn't want to be friends with me no more, and that she's been having like some interesting, some secret, interesting conversations about me, and like the shit just, yeah, like I guess our relationship done fizzled the fuck out, and motherfuckers just ain't keeping it real. And I was like, well, this shit, that was news to me because I thought I still had my best friend. So yeah, Tora, sorry, you were told. She let me know. You didn't have to keep lying, baby. It wasn't no point of keeping up the relationship you no longer wanted. And then, of course, for my friend Ariel, apparently, bitch, we were never friends, and everything I told you, you went around and spread it like it was the 11 o'clock news exclusive, bitch, live at 11. Okay. And which was crazy to me because you had your own shit. It was even more wild around that time. I know we gonna talk about this in another video, but bitch, I know you slept with Cameron. And that apparently it was a group of motherfuckers like she was like, I see it like a whole sorority, which it made me think of my fucking line sister. And it's like, you got a whole group of people throwing evil out at you, and like, yeah, you're gonna need a spiritual bath, you're gonna need all this. So she convinced me to spend $1,200 in Atlanta for her to give me a spiritual bath. Now what's crazy is that I ended up spending over $2,000 trying to get down there and staying in a hotel and doing a rental car. And when I finally got down there to do the bath, we didn't go to the river, so she did my bath in the hotel room. And honestly, every person that I talked to, I have literally told me that woman ripped me off. And so every time I tell this story, I just feel like, sis, I really love your readings. I really love the lessons that you taught me about divinations and, what it means to protect myself and how to build an ancestral altar. And you are one of the reasons as to why I fell in love with Haitian voodoo. But baby, don't you ever get on this app anymore and try to convince people that you know how to do anything more than that. Because you straight up told me that motherfucker was threw witchcraft at me. You told me. You confirmed it with my ancestors sitting right next to you. Did that I was getting fucked over. And you said I ain't in need of a chick. You sure I didn't need a chicken? I think I probably needed one. I think so. You didn't. And so when I went back, I went back to my EM, and then of course she gets in contact with her Babalawo in London, who contacts his person in Nigeria. Next thing you know, I'm on WhatsApp looking at goats and other things, taking feedings. I ain't know what the fuck. Child, at this point, I was lost, delirious. I think I've cried for probably a whole week straight because I'm just trying to figure out. I think at this time, like my whatchamacallit, my job has stalled out on renewing my contract. Of course, eventually they did after having to do shit to get shit moving again. So I was distraught. They was like, they got witchcraft. That bitch was like, you got witchcraft on you, and whoever doing it is hitting you good. I was like, what? You told me this was evil eye. How did we get to full blown witchcraft, bitch? on. And nobody was telling me this. Mind you, I had a whole godmother who claimed had done readings for me. And I was in a whole ceremony. Like, so nobody told Marisha. But the thing is, I have to give it to my ancestors. I have to give it to my own intuition. I knew something was motherfucking wrong, bruh. I knew something was fucking wrong. I knew something was wrong. I said, something is not right. And when I mean, sometimes you really got to listen to yourself, because there will be so many people against you who will make you think that you going fucking crazy, or you not feeling how you feeling, or the message that your ancestors, the same motherfuckers that y'all like this. Like there was a point where niggas have literally tried to get me to question the dead folk that rode with me every fucking step of the way, because they did not want me to find out the truth. And after that, it was just like truth uncovered, truth uncovered, truth uncovered. So I'm going and then after I'm having this conversation with my Nephi, and after this whole with doing the feedings and shit, then that's when I start to find out what really happened with her and Black Spectrum Network. Then I really find out that, like, you was playing that shit with your godmother. I then find out that you was fucking that bitch. I then find out that you other stuff had went down with some stuff. And so now it's also, you got me caught up, or I got myself caught up in a situation because the bitch wasn't asking enough questions. I should have stayed on my own journey. I should have saw the red flags. Like, if the other four leaving, bitch, I should have left with them. I should have been on the phone with them. Like, yo, what the fuck happening? But again, I didn't know them. I knew her. We was not talking to each other like that after I left, even after the ceremony. So, like, it didn't dawn on me that, like, motherfuckers was just going like that. And that's what I get for being stupid. That's what I get for coming over to Ifa. Or even, like, what thing is Isheshe, when I knew my ass wanted to be in Haitian Voodoo. Sometimes don't take this shit because it's offered. Because that's literally what happened. I took the shit because it's offered. Now, it's not to say, hell, if it's part of the destiny for me to be over here, sure, whatever. But still, like, that's part of the lesson to learn. Because even all was said and done, and I hadn't realized that, like, I had to get away from there, because ultimately, like, I'm getting hit with spiritual work about shit that had nothing to do with me. Like, I'm still getting hit by this nigga. Apparently, I got all this fucking rich we had from them. And then I end up having to look further down on some other shit. And then find out that this bitch might also be tapping your ass too. And then you like... Yeah, it was time to go. Honey, I went ghost on that bitch. I went ghost. Ghost. There was nothing to say. There was nothing to say. There was nothing for us to talk about. It was nothing for us to discuss at that point. It was nothing. So at this point, I was like, bro, I don't know what to do. I'm been dealing with hex work, witchcraft. Fuck this. So I basically go back to Priestess Sabri of Three Hoodoo Sisters, and I decided to do one of those levitate divinations to see if, like, she could take me as her mentor and go, because I was just like, this is where I want to be anyway. So it was just like, maybe this is a sign that, like, I need to get back on track, because, like, you were severely lost. And I remember telling myself that, okay, if she says no, if she says I'm not ready, I'll be okay. Like, at least I tried, because at this point, I don't know what to do. Baby, what happened on that call was something that I did not expect. This bitch had the nerve to tell me that the cards were saying that I was in a spiritual war. Now, I was in a spiritual war with the entire house with multiple people, and I was in a battle that I could not win, and that I talked too much, which I'm kind of was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't even talk to anybody. I lost all my friends and all this stuff. I talked too much, and that I needed to give it up, and I needed to pretty much like walk away from everything, stop practicing the religions, everything. Like, don't even come over to Haitian voodoo. And she started on this bullshit about how like Haitian voodoo was dangerous and all this stuff. Mind you, I'm like, if Haitian voodoo was dangerous, then why the fuck are you openly like initiating people? And she was just like, yeah, she wasn't gonna take me because I'll be bringing a war to her doorstep, and that's not something that she feel like dealing with. Mind you, I only know about this war because of you. I only know about this war because of you. You're the one that told me that he was this great scammer in Atlanta. You were the one to tell me that he wasn't being accepted into houses because you too, like, once again, I'm hearing this for like the third time, that allegedly this motherfucker was conceived by two females, but I cannot confirm and deny. And I got left out there. And she was like, come back in 3 months. And then she also text me, oh, if I want a spiritual bath, because like, then I can, pay her another $1,300. Girl, fuck you and your spiritual baths. Your spiritual baths don't do anything. I'm saying as much respect to you. I really do. Because obviously, I wanted you to be my godmother. I wanted you to be the priestess that initiated me. So I can't try to slander you down like that. But I'm speaking on my experience. That was pretty cruddy. And it also sucks because one thing I also learned about being in spaces where you talk about things that happen in Haitian voodoo and all that stuff, you will find out that a lot of people think that if you weren't Haitian, you damn near was deserving of being scammed and all that shit too. So that's why I try to stay away from really even mentioning things about that, because I ain't got time for it. I don't. Like I said, y'all can have all this shit. All of it. And from that time, I was just spending all this time trying to find help. Like, who can help me? I'm dealing with witchcraft. She damn near scared me at that point. Not even gonna hold you, because I was just like, I didn't never think that it was this bad, but obviously it was this bad. So I'm like, I'm alone, and I have these people who want to see me go down. So I ended up one day just randomly scrolling, and I ended up finding this Olorisha. They are the crown priest in Lukumi, and he was also a Palo priest as well as a voodoo priest. So he was in multiple. And I got a reading with him because, since he was able to, he was strong in mediumship, and since he, was in the religions that I wanted to seek a house in, I just wanted to speak to him, give advice, whatever. So, in the midst of the reading, honey, and in this reading, apparently, you had Huganzo, my Haitian voodoo teacher. Apparently, that motherfucker was throwing work. He even threw a spirit at me. that apparently was like helping them get messages from me. And you had this bitch, what is it, Peach the Beach Blossom, I guess she was doing her divinations trying to read up on me too. So like you had people who were just doing constant readings, constant spiritual work, constant readings, constant spiritual work. And like, and I know those multiple people was his kids, was his god kids. And I know this because even in the mentorship, like he would get the coven to do hex work. Like they taught us how to do the shit. So I know for sure that he had no problem getting his students or whatever to throw work at me. I'm not even shocked. That's why when they're talking about all these people, I know who all these people. And then also to find out what happened with my own godmother and the fact that your students was throwing work too, I was getting thrown down with spiritual work. Okay? Put me in physical therapy for a year. I had to get emergency gallbladder surgery. It was rough. I had a rough time when I was getting hit with that work before I even found out that that's what I was dealing with. And so essentially, he, during the reading, a few of the Loa came down. And long story short, they was like, bitch, you're gonna have to fight them. If you're gonna survive this, you're gonna have to fight. You're gonna have to throw back. You have to throw back at them. You have to throw back at them. And this was something that I really did not want to do, because I was just like, how else am I going to be? I mean, how else am I going to be defending myself? But then who is going to help me if I'm supposed to be dealing with all these people? They throw back. And pretty much I had to earn my right. I had to earn my spot. I thought I already did that, but apparently I had to do it some more. And then they were like, and then that's when I'll find, the house or society that will initiate me. And the same with Ifa, when I was ready to get it fixed, I'll find the people who will be able to help me fix it or whatever. And so from that day on, I was in a full blown out spiritual war. Full blown out spiritual war with my mentors. So we were hexing each other for months. I would even know when the work would pick back up because of it had a really muggy, kind of humid feel to it, and especially in my home. It's something that gnats will be attracted to, type shit. It made it feel like I was in a swamp. And my candles will tell me, my spirit, it was, and then of course around that time, I was learning about spiritism, espiritismo, and learning the Bovda and all that shit. And so, it really wasn't until I got to my Mano de Orula ceremony, because at that point I needed to get my pot fixed, because it was getting to the point where I was just getting tired of it. It just felt like the more I was doing, the more it was just pushing back, the more I was doing, and I could even tell that it was just starting to even affect my ancestors. And so I remember going to Papa Legba and just asking Papa Legba, what do I have to do to get some type of relief from the work that's just being thrown at me? Because at this point I know it's probably not going to stop, but I need something a lot more stronger than what I'm doing now. And essentially they were he was you got to fix the ceremony that you got. You have to finish what you started. Um, and so I went ahead and got my pot fixed. And then that's when I got down to the Mano de Orula ceremony, that's when I found out that I was marked for death. That I had Iku following me, and that like the witchcraft that was through on me like pretty much fucked up my head. It fucked with my alignment. And it's something I probably might have to do with just I sometimes wish that I could still have had that really like bright-eyed view um of this community. And like I feel like just, and I can't say that I allowed people, because I didn't allow this, or like I didn't ask for this. Um, but people have really tried to take away my light, and I wish I could just, if I could start it all over, I would have just stayed, hoodoo. I don't even think I would have worked with the person, but things happened the way that they did. Um, and unfortunately, I'm not even with the house that I'm with. I'm probably gonna talk about that other, but I just know I I'm not in the same place that I was, but like I am I am hurt. I am heartbroken because like I really did love Hugonzo. I fuck with Priest Blossom, but bitch, you ain't had that much of an impact that you think that you did, and that's probably part of your problem. But like I really did love Hugonzo. Like I looked up at him as like a real mentor. And part of who I am today, especially as strong as a practitioner I am, is because I had him as my mentor. And so it really hurt my feelings to know that like he was willing to like turn his back on me like that. It really did. Because he's right. We could have done some great work together. But you made your choice. And I thank God for the fact that my ancestors has been able to reroute me. But the thing is, they shouldn't have had to do that. And they shouldn't have to do that the many times that they did. Because motherfuckers they should have did it right the first time the same way I did. And so that's why I do some of this shit for them too. Because y'all played with them too. So yeah, I ain't dealing with that muggy feeling. I'm not dealing with the swampy feeling. I have my warriors. I have my ruler. I have the things protecting me. I know how to defend myself. And so now we in it for the long game. So if anything, this video is to make sure I tell my story first. I got here first, bitch. I got here first, bitch. Then you gotta follow up. Shit. Marisha, people have benefited from Marisha being quiet. People have benefited from me not saying anything. People have benefited from me, allowing them to get their shit off because I'm not a confrontational person. In way too many circles. And so yeah, it gets to a point where it's just like, yeah, I've had to fight a few spiritual battles with some folks because they thought that they could try me because I was by myself. Because I had all these people against me. And so they recognize that the reason why Marisha is able to be by herself is because she got a strong ass team behind her. And which made me mean like maybe I am meant to stand alone in certain parts of my life. Maybe I am. And so these were one of the instances. So, whew. But I will say I am very happy that I'm willing to hex motherfuckers if needed. I know. Some people want to watch this and be like, ooh, damn, I can't fuck with her because she do hex work. Look, only when needed. Clearly, have you listened to the fucking story? When people are attacking you and your well-being and your ability to feed yourself and and your stability and all this stuff and the spirits are literally coming down and they telling you that you need, bitch. Yeah, I did. I sure did. I sure did. I will never regret that. Just the hard truth of knowing that it was done by people you just didn't expect to do it. To do all that shit for real. But you never know people. That's why, yeah, we just don't. Especially not over here. So, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, but I made it. I'm here. And so I made it to y'all. So that's why I was like, we got to turn a new leaf and try to heal from these experiences because what I mean, some of these things are meant to come to break you because you do have forces out here that that are manifested by motherfuckers who just don't want to see you win. You know, evil eyes, witchcraft, people talking down in your name is witchcraft. All this stuff, like all of that is something that is meant to not see you do well. And so and for a lot of us, we have to do work to counter those spells that have been placed on our life from people who don't want to see us achieve those things. Um, so there's more to come. There's more to come where that came from, for sure. Because there's a lot to be told. But I definitely wanted to get this out because, like I said, my ancestors was not gonna let me go without talking about this. So obviously, this must be an important video to have up. Um, but yeah, my heart goes out to anybody that's ever had to go through something like that, similar to me. Um, I'm glad you made it and that you're alive and that your proof is that if you are meant to be here and if you're meant to fight those battles and all that, like, we gonna fight them hoes and we gonna win that shit. We gonna prove that, it's some real for sure practitioners who done survived some shit and to tell that story and not like these for play folks out here. Okay. and did it in ways that didn't cost me 2,000, between 1,200, 1,500, 2,000. The way they try to out here make it seem like it gotta cost, bitch. Cause if you got the power, we gonna do what needs to be done. Do you understand? All right, y'all. I guess like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Um, but I appreciate y'all, whoever finds this.